Good morning, students. In previous class, we have discussed about introduction of control and coordination. Now, we are going to continue about movement in plant. So, plants movement. So here, when compared the movement in animals, the plants are not moving like us. See here, the movement in plant is totally different when compared to the movement in animals, as we know that. See, it is very slow process which is going to be occurring in plants. Now, the movement of the plants, they can show us in two ways. So, what are that movements that are shown? So, movement independent of growth, movement independent of growth, and another mode of movement is movement due to growth. So these are the two ways of movement that is shown by the plants towards the stimulus. Now we will discuss about these two different types of movements that is shown by the plants. First of all, let us discuss movement independent of growth shown by the plants towards the stimulus. Now, the movement of independent of growth in plants is also called as Nastic movement. What it is called? Nastic movement. Nastic movement. See here, any form of these movements, either independent or it is due to the growth of the movement, whatever it is shown by the plants, this is because of the cause is the stimulus, which is induced either externally or internally, which is impacting by the plants to respond. See here, under this movement independent of the growth, that we can call as Nastic movement. What it is called? Nastic movement. See here, under Nastic movement, what is happening here? The direction of the movement that is shown by the plants, whatever it is. So, the directional movement of the plant is not identified by the stimulus. See here, in this Nastic movement, what is happening here? The plants, they do not, what is happening here? Identifies the stimulus. So, movement is, the direction of the movement we can't identify. Why? Because they do not grow like how the plants are growing. Here, the growth, the movement is not dependent towards the growth. They are responding towards the stimulus. So, here what is happening here? The direction of movement is not identified by the direction of the stimulus. So, here from which side the stimulus is activating, that is showing impact on the all organs of the plants. That kind of movement, what we can call as Nastic movement. What it is called? Nastic movement. So, in Nastic movement, for example, if you take touch me not plant, what it is called? Touch me not. Touch me not. So, it is scientifically Mimosa pudica. So, Mimosa pudica, touch me not plant is able to show the movement is called Nastic movement. So, under the Nastic movement of touch me not plant, what is happening here? As you have seen, the leaf is having more in number of winglets. So here the base is looking like swelling, which is consisting of water. If any touch stimulus is causing to activate, the water from the base is start moving towards the lower part, and that the leaf will lose the firmness that causes to fold the leaves. The complete leaf is going to be folded. So this kind of movement is not directional base of the stimulus. So based on the functioning of the stimulus on the plant, complete leaves are going to be folded, but it is not showing any growth. If it is showing growth, means it is different. It is not called as Nastic movement. That's what it is considered as Nastic movement, because it is not growing towards the stimulus. It is responding by closing its leaf. That is what we can call Nastic movement. That is shown by the touch me not plant, and that is called as Nastic. That is called Nastic. So, what is Nastic movement? Example. So, Nastic movement is the movement where the directional movement of the plant is not identified by the direction of the stimulus. That is, the complete organs of the plant is responding to the stimulus, but it is not growing. That is what we can call Nastic movement. Example is touch me not plant, and which is also called as mimosa pudica. And this kind of movement is called as Nastic. But it is called Nastic. That is a movement independent of growth. Now we will discuss about movement due to the growth. Movement due to the growth. So growth causes movement towards the stimulus. So what is happening here? The growth of the plant, that is one of the movement that is causes towards the stimulus. From which side? That is, from which direction the stimulus is activating or functioning on the plant. Towards that direction, the plant is showing the response, and that is growing towards it. This kind of growth of the plant towards to the stimulus, that is called as movement due to the stimulus. Tropism. What it is called? Tropism. So what is tropism? Means movement of the plant towards to the stimulus. That is called as tropism. Here, under the tropism, some of the plant parts may grows towards itself. That is towards the stimulus. Or some of the plant parts they are going away from the stimulus. That is the growth of the plant. That is the movement of the plant towards the stimulus is maybe positively occurring or maybe negatively occurring. If it is positive, means positive tropism. If it is negative, means negative tropism. That is movement towards itself, towards the stimulus. That is positive. See, this is a blackboard. If I am moving towards the blackboard, that is positive. If I am moving away from the blackboard, that is negative. See, the blackboard is a stimulus. My movement towards this positive movement, and moving away from this board is a negative movement. That is exhibited by the plant. That kind of movement is called as tropism. Under tropism, some of the stimulus are there, factors are there that are going to be affect the movement of the plants. Under tropism, some of the factors like light. Light is one of the factors that is causing in movement of the plants towards itself. Water is causing one of the induced in plants to move towards itself. Chemicals also causing movement of the plants towards themselves. Next, touch or contact. That is also causing movement of the plant towards itself. Gravity, that is also causing movement of the plants towards itself. Now, light, it is also called as photo. Water, it is also called hydro. Chemicals, chemo. Contact, thigmo. Next, gravity, geo. Because acting XBT. So, first, what is how it is called is phototropism. What it is called? Phototropism. And it is called hydrotropism. And it is called as chemotropism. It is thigmotropism. And it is geotropism. So these are the various factors that are causing the movement of the plants towards themselves or away from themselves. Now we are going to discuss about these types of tropisms. First, we will discuss about phototropism. So, what is phototropism? Under phototropism. So now what is happening here? The movement of the plant towards to the light, it is called as phototropism. Here light is the factor that causes to activate the hormones of the plants that helps them movement towards to the light. That kind of mode is called as phototropism. Here light is the stimulus. Light is the stimulus that is causing impact on the shoot of the plant. That's what the shoot is always growing towards to the above the surface. That is the shoot always growing above the surface of the earth. So it is growing opposite or towards that direction. So here what is happening here? The shoot is growing towards to the light. So it is growing in positive direction. So the shoot is showing positive phototropism. Shoot is showing positive phototropism. So what it is showing? Positive phototropism. Shoot is showing the positive phototropism. At the same time, the roots are not going towards the sunlight. They are going away from the sunlight. So what it is occurred? Negative phototropism. The root is showing negative phototropism. So what is happening here? The shoot is always positive phototropism. The root is always negative phototropism. Means the roots are always growing away from the light stimulus, whereas the shoot is always growing towards the stimulus. What is that? Light. So it is called as phototropism. So what is a phototropism and what is the example is the movement of the plant towards to the light. That is called as phototropism. What it is? Phototropism. So, under phototropism, the shoot is always showing positive phototropism, whereas the root is always showing negative phototropism. That is phototropism. And next, we will discuss geotropism. Geo means as we know that earth, and it is causing the gravitation. So gravitational force of the earth is also one of the stimulus that is inducing the growth of the plant. That is the movement of the plant. See, what is the Geotrophism. Geotrophism is nothing but the movement of the plant towards the earth or towards the gravitational force. Then what it is called is geotrophism. As we know that the roots are always growing downwards, that is growing towards the gravitational force. Means the roots are always positive geotropism. Roots are always positive geotropism. Roots are always positive geotropism. Whereas the shoot is always negative geotropism. Why? Because it is growing away from the gravitational force. It is growing away from the gravitational force. So the shoot is negative in geotropism, positive in phototropism, and root is positive in geotropism, negative in phototropism. That is another important. And next, chemotropism. So, chemotropism. So, we have seen in reproduction, especially in case of plants. So, during we have seen that reproduction while carrying in flowers. What is happening here? Transfer of pollen grain is occurring. As we know that the pollen grain transfer is occurring. So here the pollen grain which is transferred, here the pollen grains are transferred onto the stigma. So all the stigmas are not, all the pollen grains are not able to germinate. Only one pollen grain is germinating and able to develop pollen tube. So the growth of the pollen tube from this pollen grain. Now this is the pollen grain. Now what is happening here? From this pollen grain, we have seen that the development of pollen tube. This is because of the stimulus is activated by the production of chemicals by the flower. That is, stigma is able to produce some of the chemicals here. The chemicals causes to develop the pollen tube. So what is happening here? The pollen tube is now start growing towards the ovary, and that carries the male gametes. That is what we can call as chemotropism. What is chemotropism? The movement of the plant towards to the chemical, and that kind of tropism is chemotropism. Example is growth of the pollen tube on the stigma is induced by the secretion of chemicals by the stigma and allows to develop the pollen tube, and which carries the male gametes and releases the male gametes into the ovary. That is chemotropism. Next, hydrotropism. So, what is hydro means? We know that water. So what is happening here? See here, if you observe any plant that is growing, wherever it is growing, if you observe a small grass or small plant which is growing in the gaps of the stone, you will find the roots are starting moving away from the plant. See what is happening here. Now this is a small seed we have planted. And this is another seed we have taken. From this seed we have seen seedling. From this also seedling occurring. Water is present in this area. So what is happening here? Now the roots start growing but bending towards its side. Here also the roots start bending and going towards its side. What is the reason? Is the movement of roots towards the water. That is, in search of water they are growing. This kind of induced or response which is caused because of the water, that kind of movement is called as hydrotropism. What it is called? Hydrotropism, which is because of in search of water, the roots of the plants are developing. That is hydrotropism. And another one is Phototrophism. Phototrophism. So, what is Phototrophism? Means the movement of the plant towards to the support or contact. That kind of movement is called as Phototrophism. See, if you go to the fields, especially cucumber field or grapes field, or we can see what it is, bitter gourd, or we can see that ridge gourd. Any crops field, if you visit, there we can find this is one stem or stalk. We can see that from this stalk we will find the growth of the spring-like or thread-like structure is developing. What it is called? As we have find in case of watermelon, cucumber, pumpkin, and also we have seen bitter gourd, also ridge gourd. That plants they are able to produce these kind of thread-like structures. What do they are called is tendril. So what is tendril is nothing but the thin thread-like structure that is developed by the creepers or climbers. They are called as tendrils. So these tendrils are able to move or grow towards the support. Wherever they find the support, in that direction they start growing. That's what this kind of movement is called as Phototrophism. The tendrils they take support, and that support is giving the stem to climb up. This kind of movement is called as Phototrophism. In this way, the movement of plants towards the support is called as Phototrophism. And the movement of the plants towards the water is called as Hydrotropism. The movement of plants towards the chemical is called as Chemotropism. The movement of plants towards the gravitational force, it is called as Geotropism. And the movement of plants towards the light, it is called as Phototropism. In this way, these are the movement of the plants due to the growth, and that causes inducing movement, and that kind of movements are called as tropism. And another one is called Nastic Movement. That is the two types of movements that are shown by the plant. One is movement only showing but it is not growing, and another one is showing the movement by the growth. That kind of two types of movements are shown by the plants. That is the plants movement we have seen.